An Aztec medallion's on the line, the trios titles are on the line, and a certain Dark Master makes his return. We're talking Season 2, Episode 14 of Lucha Underground, so you know what that means. Stick around.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Jimmo, you are a genius.
I tried. I was like, what has Cage in it? This song does.
Absolutely it
works.
does. And Billy Corgan, of course, a known wrestling fan.
I actually met him at a PWG show once.
Did you?
Dude, he was so nice. I did the whole like, hey, my friend's a really big fan of yours. Here, talk to them on the phone. And he was so cool about it. He was just like, yeah, sure, hi, yeah, cool, yeah.
Wrestling fan, wrestling promoter, Billy Corgan. Guys, we're talking Season 2, Episode 14 of Lucha Underground. My name is Ty Matthews. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA. As always, my lovely talented co-host.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. You can follow me on Twitter at TheJimboSlice. That's TheeJimboSlice. That's at TheJimboSlice with 2 E's. That's at TheJimboSlice.
Absolutely. And what is that you have in front of you?
That's my lovely Young Bucks documentary I made, The Young Bucks 2 Sweet Journey. It's available at highspots.com. You should buy it and check it out.
Yeah, you should. Guys, we only got 2 matches tonight, but you know what that means. That means they are big, big matches. So let's get into it. You know, first, let's get into some news. We were lucky enough to be at the Temple this past weekend, watching some top secret Lucha Underground action happen. We can't say too much. We can say that reports of an injury to Matanza are true, and luckily not quite as bad as originally anticipated. So he should be back very, very soon. Get well to Matanza. We can also say that there was a former
world heavyweight champion in the crowd, and we'll see how that pans out.
We'll see how that pans out. One of our favorite champions.
Oh, yeah, great.
We'll see how that pans out. We start things off today, as we always do, with a recap, a previously on Lucha Underground, if you will. Recapping the Trios tournament up until now. We've got 3 teams that have advanced, plus Ivelisse and Helico and Son of Havoc getting a bye into the finals, now that we know that the tournament is not a number 1 contenders tournament, but a championship tournament. Crazy. So tonight we're going to see the finals, and the finals came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No one really knew exactly, because Lucha Underground doesn't really mess with like brackets or anything.
No.
So you never really know where tournaments are heading or where they're going to end. But tonight we get the finals. Not only that, we get Cage in a cage. We get a little recap of the Johnny Mundo Cage war that's been happening. We get a little bit of a clip of that amazing Mundo and Taya segment from last week, where we see the origins of Cage in a cage.
I love it.
We see that Mundo, of course, plans to take him to Slam Town yet again for the 3rd of the 7 Aztec medallions.
See, I didn't know it was a medallion match until like the match had already started.
Oh, really?
And I heard them on commentary saying like this is for the medallion.
Yeah,
Like, oh.
Yeah, one of the things that Mundo was, you know, when he's practicing on that wooden tree thing, he says that he wants to just be given a medallion because he didn't even get a chance to fight for one last year. But he wants to be given one. Nope, you got to earn it by facing Cage in a cage, and that's how we kick off this week's show.
Intense.
What'd you think about this cage match?
Dude, it was so crazy. I love, like, Taya's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
She came out with Mundo. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. I didn't expect Mundo to just get in the cage, though.
Oh, you thought he was going to maybe
be like, I don't know about this. I'm gonna walk around here.
Right,
I'm
right,
gonna
right.
do this.
Right, of course.
Like, oh, you're gonna shut the door? Like, I expected more of that. So, like, when they got in the cage and then they just started to go back and forth, I was like, damn, okay. Like,
sure, exactly.
Like, they're gonna go at it.
Well, and as far as specialty matches go, this is kind of, I mean, it's sort of becoming Johnny Mundo's specialty. You know, Matt Striker talks, there's only been one other cage match in Lucha Underground history, and Johnny Mundo won that. It was between Johnny Mundo and King Cuerno. And so there you go.
Whoops.
Another specialty match, of course.
Whoops.
I guess that would be Phoenix's specialty. I'm not sure. But we finally get Cage in a cage, and it's amazing. And I love how much the cage was used in this match. You know, it's a classic story of speed versus power. And so while Cage is going for pins, as he should, Mundo is going for escapes, and there's an amazing sequence where he's scampering up the side and he's like running around on the ropes, and Cage is just trying to whack him with the kendo stick. And it's such
like
a good
mouse
sequence. Yeah, exactly. And it makes such creative use of their environment and of their surroundings that I wish happened more in cage matches. There should be more built around the attempts to escape, you know?
Yeah, and like with two guys like that, like I don't know if you could pull that off with anyone but Mundo and his like parkour skills and like
exactly.
He was just and that whole sequence was so good. To the point where, like, when he finally catches him and slams him down, and then the kendo stick pops in the air and he caught it,
what
I legit,
a dope moment.
like, jumped. I was at my desk, like, watching it at my desk, and I, like, jumped up and I hit my computer, and things on my desk just started to fall down.
I had to rewind
I got
that
so
part.
excited. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe he caught that.
I had to rewind that part a couple times. If you didn't see this match, first of all, go back and see it. But there's a moment where Johnny Mundo has the kendo stick in hand, trying to fight Cage. Cage gets him, gives him a variation almost of an Alabama slam, kind of
like a spine buster thing.
Slams him. The stick, the kendo stick, flies into the air, and Cage just without missing a beat catches it. And the crowd's pop from the spine buster goes like, oh
Yeah,
my God!
It's just like timing. It couldn't have been better.
It was such a money moment, and I know like Cage had to have felt like such a badass in that moment.
While we're talking about cage matches, how do you feel about the pin and the submission in a cage match? Is it something you're okay with? Is
I like
it something
it.
you're against?
I like it. I think it opens up the options and it opens up more possibilities for false finishes and for intrigue, stuff like that. I think given the right story and given the right context, an escape-only cage match could be very interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I think it opens up possibilities, especially like I said in a story like this, where it makes more sense for Mundo, the quicker of the two, to try and escape, whereas Cage, the bigger, you know, even as agile as he is, it makes more sense for him to be, you know, clobbering and hitting power moves, going for pinfalls, things like that. But you brought up a good point. You brought up a good point with Mundo's experience with parkour. I think that has to lend itself to being why this has become his specialty. You know, the fact that he can use it in creative ways that other people can't.
And I think this match, more than any, proves without a shadow of a doubt that you can't cage Johnny Mundo.
You are a real cool guy, Mark.
Brian Cage hit a gnarly drop kick in this match.
Yeah, he did.
Like, it was funny because they were like going back and forth, and then Cage is just like throwing Mundo into all sides, like using the cage to his advantage. Like, I'm gonna toss you into here, I'm gonna gorilla press you over there, I'm gonna throw you into here. And then like Mundo hits a drop kick, like, yeah, what's up? And then Cage hits a drop kick, and everyone's like, holy shit.
It's like a game of horse inside a cage.
With an actual horse.
Yeah.
No, it's not like horse.
I love how on the commentary, Vampiro is like, oh, legendary cage matches like Jimmy Snuka, me versus Chessman, me and my ex-wife. I was like, oh, that's good stuff.
Vampiro's commentary.
He was on point today.
So good. There's some very interesting moves. We saw kind of a super crab from Cage.
Like a weird corner crab.
Yeah,
like a take on Bret Hart's like figure four around the pole.
Yeah,
kind
we had Johnny Mundo kind of laying face down between the top and the middle turnbuckles, and then Cage sitting on the top with his legs sort of in a modified Boston Crab.
Crazy.
Very interesting.
And then Vampiro's on commentary, he's like, it's like, you know, when divers go in a shark cage, but like the shark's in the cage.
Shark got in.
And like Matt's like, what? And Vampiro's like, I don't know, it sounded good in my head. I'm on a bunch of meds, man.
and it all ties back.
Ties back.
It's, you know, in the story, he is on meds, so why not? That explains his ridiculous commentary. Speaking of ridiculous moments, let's talk about the Avalanche Moonlight Drive and the end of the world off the cage. Just like all of these insane moves that Mundo's hitting either off the cage or off the top rope with the assistance of the cage.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
And then that was great. And I love how like every time Cage like was on the brink of maybe trying to get out, Taya's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll whip you with the belt. I'm going to hit you with the kendo stick. And at one point, Cage was up there and she was like leaning over, hitting him with the stick, and I was like, he's gonna grab her and superplex her
over the. Oh my god!
I thought that's what
if
was
anyone
about to
would
happen.
take it, if anyone would take that, it would be Taya.
Yeah, she is crazy.
Absolutely.
Like, I was like, no, he's not gonna just grab her and superplex her.
And yeah, that's one of the things that I wish more people would take advantage of. The fact that cage matches are by nature no disqualifications, so you can have, if you're part of a stable, you can have the entire stable in the cage. There's nothing stopping you. But we see a lot of interference from Taya. We see a crossbody off the top of the cage to Cage from Taya. You know, it essentially becomes a handicap match at some point.
She even like scales the cage holding a chair.
With the chair like
and I was
draped over
like,
one
this girl's
arm.
great. And then she like hucks it in the ring and keeps climbing. I was just like, this girl's nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Like,
there's a reason they call her La Huera Loca. She is absolutely out of her mind. And we saw, you know, she busts out after their magic killer. They hit Cage with a magic killer. She busts out some handcuffs. Goes to
should have
try
been
and,
furry.
They
should have been furry handcuffs.
Man.
That just would have made
To
it that
match
much cooler.
those boots, exactly. She goes to cuff Cage to the ropes. He flips the script on her, cuffs her to the ropes. Not only that, Mundo grabs the chair that she brought in, goes to waffle Cage with it. He moves. Mundo clobbers Taya with a chair.
Oh man.
And then we see a Steiner screwdriver on top of the chair for Cage to get the win and the third Aztec medallion.
It was crazy how, like at one point, I don't remember, like, I think it was when Mundo hit the Spanish Fly and like Matt Stryker's like, oh, you've probably seen tons of this. And Vampiro is like, I've been alive for thousands of years, man. They write books about me. And I was just like, oh.
I want to see that side of it, exactly.
That's tying back to that, you know, like, is Katrina a ghost? Like, who is this? Like, maybe Vampiro has been
what's
alive
her history with Vampiro?
for thousands of years. You know? Like, I thought that was crazy. And we hit Mundo when he gets that chair. He nails Cage with a headshot. Gets a solid 2. Cage barely kicks out. And then, like, Cage is down for him to climb up. And this goes back to what I was saying, like, when head chair shots are used rarely and they mean something,
right?
It's like blood in a match.
Exactly,
or like something.
they're effective.
Like, it was very effective that, like, everyone wasn't up in arms like, oh my god, he took an unprotected chair shot to the head. It was like, oh man, that one chair shot put him down for almost a 3, and put him down long enough for Mundo to climb to the top of the cage to decide, no, I'm not going to go over, but I'm going to try and hit my end of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was like, okay, this is where, like, the psychology, and it makes sense, like how we were talking about earlier, like when it's a blood feud and like you're in the cage and like there's no pin or submission, you have to escape. Then it makes sense.
Exactly.
Like a chair shot here made sense. I thought that was great.
Yeah, definitely. Chair shots to the head, that can affect Cage. It's only glass that he's immune to.
He's a machine.
Exactly. See, I love these little like intricacies that we can fit in there. It's only glass. Chair shots, he's still immune or he's still vulnerable to. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. That end of the world. What an interesting variation on that for a move that has to use the ropes. Like how do you think of how to do that off the top of a cage?
And even when like Taya got in the ring, she did a flying crossbody off the top of the cage like it was nothing. Like hits it and then gets back up and just starts putting the boots to Cage.
Right.
It's just like, man,
they really are just doing a phenomenal job at making Cage kind of, I mean, really the indestructible superhero of the show while still, you know, maintaining intrigue in his matches. It's not like Superman where you think like, oh, there's no way he can be beaten. You know, he still is vulnerable. But sometimes it just takes like in last week's match where it took, I think, like 4 or 5 back-to-back consecutive finishers to finally put him down.
I wonder if he has a name for his Steiner screwdriver thing.
Oh man, I don't know.
Like what he would call it. I was trying to think like the railroad spike or like something.
Sure,
I don't
sure.
know.
I love that he always prefaces it with, he's not getting up from this. That's when you know it's the Steiner screwdriver. Now I just want to see Cage just cut Scott Steiner promos.
I want to see him do, what was that weird little, like, he'd hold him and try and do a moonsault, but he'd always, like, land on his head.
Oh, man. Yeah, exactly. Just, yeah. Cage is amazing. He gets the 3rd medallion, so now we've got Tejano, Aerostar, and Cage as medallion holders.
Tejano, Cage, and who?
Aerostar.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love...
fellow chucker, eh?
Speaking of Aerostar, oh, so good. And I love that was one thing that I noted during this match is that each medallion match so far, at least in this run, I'll have to look into last year's medallion matches, but each medallion match so far in this cycle has not only been a match, but there's been an added element to it. Tejano versus Daga was Daga's debut match, and it was Dario's opportunity for him to kind of prove himself in spectacular fashion. Aerostar versus Drago was pitting two friends against each other to test that relationship and to see if it would hold up.
And possibly pet and pet owner.
And of course, exactly. And with this, we've got, this blood feud in a cage that also, for added stakes, has one of the medallions on the line.
So with these types of rivalries, what do you think the next medallion match will be?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I wonder...
Something with Jack Evans.
Could be.
Something with Jack Evans. Like, it doesn't matter who, it's just everyone hates Jack Evans right now.
Jack Evans and PJ Black in a Welcome to Jackass match.
Who knows? Maybe it could be Cortez Castro versus Joey Ryan. Tie in...
After tonight, ooh.
Right? Exactly, which we'll get to that. And not even, with as big as the two matches were tonight, we didn't even get any segments in between. We just go right from match to match. So that being said... we've got a 4-way elimination match for the trios titles, but we have an announcement from El Jefe himself, Dario Cueto. Thank you.
So wait, was it a ladder match? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
It was, sadly, it was not a ladder match. Damn it. But he of ladder match fame, Dario Cueto, announces that Angelico has suffered an injury, so Ivelisse and Son of Havoc will have to defend their trios titles just as a duo.
Yeah.
So we've got one team of two, three other trios. Three other trios, exactly. We've got an odd number of people, 11 people in the ring for this insane trios match. But let's get into it. We've got Ivelisse and Son of Havoc defending the trios titles against Rey Mysterio Jr., Dragon Azteca Jr., and Prince Puma. Phoenix... Oh my! Is that some Street Fighter?
Yeah, that's Guile.
Yes.
For any of the heroes, it's got to be Guile.
Yes. That's what this show needed, was Guile music. We've got Rey, Dragon Puma, we've got Phoenix, Jack Evans, and PJ Black, and we've got Cortez Castro, Mr. Cisco, and Joey Ryan, all competing for the trios titles. And what I love about the rules of this match is that a representative of each team is in the ring all at once. Yeah. So there's always four people in the ring.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's absolutely bonkers. And the opening spot did such a good job of kind of explaining that and of showcasing that with, we've got Ivelisse, Rey, Phoenix, and Cisco all in the ring. And they're all kind of like pairing off and trying to go for pins. And they're all so evenly matched. It's such a perfect way to open such a chaotic match.
It was really good. I love, before the match even starts, Jack Evans is hand walking down the temple steps.
Right.
Like it's no big deal.
Exactly.
Like, what is going on with this guy?
Like it's an unbeatable Banzuke course.
Yeah, and then Phoenix holds the ropes open for Rey. As a show of respect, and then you can see Jack give him shit no, dude, you're on our team. What are you doing? That's our opponent.
It's just multi-man matches in Lucha Underground always inevitably have so many stories that are all intersecting. We've got Rey and Dragon trying to avenge the original Dragon Azteca. We've got Joey and Cortez trying to find out more about Dario. We've got Jack Evans and PJ Black trying to sort of usurp this position of Lucha royalty. No. I mean, Ivelisse and Son of Havoc are down a man, and they've got their own interpersonal conflicts. Just so many different stories all happening at once. Whereas I feel like anywhere else it would be they just want these belts because they're cool and they're shiny and they mean you're good at wrestling.
They're bronze.
Yeah, exactly.
They look like two giant pennies.
Yeah, right. The Disneyland Smash penny belts. Let's get into this match because there's so much to touch on. Some really, really good offense from Mr. Cisco especially, and Cortez Castro. Matt Stryker makes a really good call that Cisco has gone pretty much from one of the most hated competitors in the temple to one of the most loved, and I think it's purely on his merits in the ring.
Yeah, and he got crazy cheers.
Exactly.
Like, right as that was being said.
Exactly. I think as a heel, it almost sort of handcuffed him a little bit in not allowing him to do all of the wacky lucha stuff that we know that he knows how to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was so awesome to like talk with him this weekend and have him be like, "I love listening to your show. It makes my workday go by so fast."
Shout out to Mr. Sicko.
Like, that's so awesome, dude.
A viewer of the show.
Awesome. Like, I'm glad you're enjoying what we're doing now.
Absolutely. And he's and likewise one of our favorite competitors on the show, especially in this match. We get an amazing sequence where he kind of it was
like a dirty dancing.
It was
like dirty
exactly
dancing X Factor.
Because it wasn't quite a gorilla press, because that's horizontal, but it was exactly that. It was a dirty dancing press into a sit out facebuster, followed by a ghetto clutch from Cortez Castro.
It was the time of his life.
One of my Cortez with the ghetto clutch, one of my favorite pinning combinations. There you go, Mark. So good. What a good call.
Imagine if that queued up when he lifted him, and then it was a no.
And then just the record
It just
scratcher. Some amazing dives. Like
Twist dive.
Oh man.
It was crazy because I was like, they just keep getting more people to the outside because someone's gonna do a crazier dive and they need more people to make sure they can catch them.
Exactly.
And yet half the time they still didn't get caught.
Yeah, it was insane. Like Phoenix like assisting Dragon Azteca with the twist dive.
Right, exactly.
There's just so many crazy dives.
And then Puma going for his own, possibly an acai, getting knocked over, straddling or kind of like bent over the top rope. PJ Black over him with, they call it a push button dive, which is really interesting. He kind of presses over Puma over him, and now Puma's dive.
This thing was crazy.
What?
I had to rewind it like twice because I heard the commentators like, "Oh, he's just making an advantage of the position he was putting," and it's like you're like stomach crotched kind of on the ropes. How did you do a moonsault from there?
Right. I still need to go back and watch it a couple more times.
I don't understand at all.
Right. Everyone hits their dives. Ivelisse, the baddest bitch in the building, is left as the very last one to hit a dive. Of course, sleazy Joey Ryan stops her to, admire his chest hair.
Sleazer's got a sleaze.
I mean, really, like, as you do. He just is. He's really at the temple. Number one, to find more about Dario Cueto, but number two, to proposition, I think, every female in the building.
Yeah.
That's kind of Joey's MO.
Perks.
Exactly. Propositions her. Ivelisse is not having any of it, hitting so many slaps, a huge German suplex, but eventually Cortez Castro gets up on her a little, hits a nasty sheer drop brainbuster. Joey wants the tag, but his unwanting partner, both in wrestling and in police work, doesn't want to tag him, and of course that leads to Ivelisse rolling him up, and we get the very first elimination of the match. The Crew and Joey Ryan are out of there, and we're down to 3 teams.
Before that happened, they cut to that watcher camera.
The what camera?
That like watcher camera when like they just cut to like a really far wide shot where it's like someone's looking but we don't know who. So I was waiting.
Interesting.
I was like, oh, who's it gonna be? Is that Angelico? Like who is this like?
Interesting. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, like because I wrote that down because I've noticed that like in episodes that they've cut to that camera, it's like someone comes out at the end or like someone appears. So I was like, oh, is that Angelico watching? Like why did they?
Was it the leftover of the Disciples of Death?
It could be because like no one ever came out then because I was expecting someone to come out at the end, but then when no one ever came out, so yeah, that might be a good call, Mark.
Interesting.
It could be him.
Could be. Is that Shao Kahn?
Damn right it's Shao Kahn.
We need to don't stay.
Exactly.
I'm on it.
So now we're down to 3 teams. Jack Evans, with one of my favorite moments of the match, proclaims that he's the baddest bitch in the building.
That's so great.
I mean, some amazing back and forth action. We get a big Yoshi tonic from Ivelisse to Jack Evans, but she eats a PJ Black short super kick to the face for her efforts, followed up by a roll up from Jack Evans, and now we're down to 2.
And it was crazy because now that we're down to 2, it seemed like it was harder to follow the action.
Right.
Because they were just going 100 miles an
At
hour.
least, yeah,
I was just like, when there was like way more people in this match, it wasn't as hard to follow as right now.
Right, with 4 teams, they could kind of, like, it was a little bit more under control. But now, yeah, the less teams there are, the more people are all involved all at once.
Yeah, and
I think that's
all,
what it was.
And they were all making pizzas.
It was just, oh man, the pizza making. Let's talk about the pizza making. Guys, this pizza DDT, I really wish there was something else to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. Dragon Azteca Jr.'s Pizza DDT is one of the most beautiful moves I have ever seen. I've got a list of moves that consistently take my breath away every time. It's Cesaro's UFO, the no hands airplane spin. It's Scott Lost's butterfly kick, and now it's
Oh, what he used to finish with?
the double, like kind of the double spin.
Oh, okay,
kick.
yeah.
That one, and now of course Dragon Azteca Jr.'s Pizza DDT.
Oh. Even when Phoenix countered it with the kick,
Oh,
that
man.
still was beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
I was just like, oh, he's double tossing pizzas.
Just the way that he's able to kind of straighten out in midair. I feel like we're gonna talk about this every time it shows up because it's that impressive.
And then Puma gets the hot tag and does everything under the sun.
The hottest of tags. The
It's
hottest.
so hot, one might say it's toasty.
Yes. Oh, Mark, you're a scholar and a gentleman.
Love it.
Yeah, I'll like on my notes, I just have Puma hot tag exclamation point. Just
Puma hits all his shit. 630.
right, exactly. We get 630. We get that GTS variation with the kick instead of the
His
knee.
gnarly flying clothesline that he does. Oh, just amazing. What a guy.
Amazing stuff.
He even does the assist with the pizza DDT.
Exactly. Yeah. Jack Evans goes for a springboard, possibly Gamangiri, maybe an Enzigiri, kicks Phoenix accidentally. That leads to a hot tag from Rey, which is also, I mean...
And then prior to this, Jack's like, I'll teach you guys Lucha. He's all talking shit to Rey Mysterio, like, I'll show you how to do Lucha.
That's so great. I love that Jack Evans' character is just like, I want to show these luchadors that me, this, like...
White kid from Washington.
This white, breakdancing wrestler from Washington can do Lucha Libre even better. And we get a 619 from Rey. We get the assisted pizza DDT. We get tandem dives from Prince Puma and Dragon Azteca Jr. And then finally a split-legged moonsault from Rey Mysterio. And not something that we usually see him finish with.
No, not at all. And it wasn't even like your typical like RVD split-legged moonsault. It was like, I'm going to stand here,
was the
I'm going to
falling.
drop,
Yeah.
and I'm going to split and do a moonsault.
Right.
Like I would think you could screw that up so easily.
Oh, God, yes.
I think you could, like, of all the high-risk moves, but like you just slip and bounce back wrong, and you just land on your head.
Oh, you're done. You're done.
dead.
Do you remember when that happened to Chris Daniels on Thunder?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes,
just
I do.
right on the top
and then
of
his
head.
arm just goes limp,
Ooh.
and then Mike Modest just grabs it and starts doing an arm wringer
Oh, that's
to
right.
it.
It was Mike Modest. Oh, man. Oh, California indie wrestlers for the win.
Gotta love it.
But yes, I mean, tandem dive, split-legged moonsault. Rey Mysterio gets the pin, and we've got brand new trios champions. There we
Ring the
go.
bell. New champs. Yeah.
The 4th trios champions, only the 3rd different team to hold these belts. What do we think of these new trios champions?
I think they'll be great. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be. I'm curious because like I wonder what's gonna happen with this whole Dragon Azteca thing.
Right.
And like, is he like does now he not really care about finding out who killed his dad, and
Right.
he's happy that he's a champion?
Well, his mentor, yeah.
Is like what's gonna happen with him and Rey? Like where does Phoenix kind of fit in this?
Right.
Well, think about it. They've got gold versus gold. It's the trios titles versus Matanza, who has the Lucha Underground Championship. So it is the ultimate showing of power between these two factions.
Sure.
And those heads are going to come to, and it's gonna be pure madness.
Absolutely.
Also, really quickly in chat, and I double checked it. The pizza DDT, as you so wonderfully called it, is referred to as the satellite DDT.
Okay, that works. That works for
I like
me.
ours way better.
Matt Ward in chat calls it the dragon slice.
Ooh, I like that even better. I like that. You know what? We're gonna go with that.
The dragon
When
slice.
when I think of satellite, I always think of the satellite head scissors. The
I think of
around the
that
world head
stupid
scissors.
Dave Matthews song.
That too.
Satellite.
Exactly. Ooh. a challenger appears.
A fellow chucker, eh?
So I think exactly. I think yeah. I mean, we've got new trios champions in Dragon and Sega Jr., Prince Puma, and Rey Mysterio. What I'm thinking, I mean, may happen. Do we think we're gonna see Black Lotus in the ring at all this season?
I hope so.
Right? Because I feel like I could see a trios match between the new champions, Matanza, Black Lotus, and question mark?
The dude that ripped the hearts out.
Oh, there you go. Good call. Well, I don't know, because you got to think he's on the side of Mil and Katrina, right? Mm-hmm. And they've sort of, I mean, we saw last week the guerra, the war between them and Dario and Matanza. So I don't know. I mean,
I use the war as an opportunity to switch sides.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And I mean, he would have a grudge against Katrina and Mil. Who knows? Interesting. That's very interesting.
It's crazy.
I would love to see Dario himself in a match, but
what kind of a match would that be?
Mark? Of course. What else? You know what? We've got some time. We're already in the territory. Let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Hang on. Rewind. I'm dumb because I completely forgot about the post-credits scene.
Yeah, you did.
It's so dumb.
I thought we were going to
Let's
talk
take
about
that back.
after the predictions.
Could we play the predictions
No.
in reverse?
No, we can't.
Backwards?
No, we can't.
Damn it. There could be like a satanic message in there. Let's talk about this post-credit scene. We've got Pentagon Jr. and his Dark Master Vampiro, not Ian Hodgkinson. We've got straight up, off of his meds, Dark Master Vampiro. And we see that Pentagon is in a wheelchair. He's still broken from that Mil Muertes attack. And Vampiro is screaming at him to get up and get up and get up, to the point where he's pouring hot candle wax on him. And weirdly enough, that doesn't make your legs work.
Nah, it got pretty hot, though.
I mean, it did. So what do we think? And so, yeah, he's screaming at him to get up. Of course he can't. He falls out of his chair. Vampiro says, "You're weak." And he leaves, and Pentagon, we've got that lingering shot of Pentagon just staring at the candle. And Pentagon, he's got a history with candles, because
He blows them all out.
Exactly. He breaks people's arms, and that whoosh, that just magically blows out any candle that's within...
He's like Shifu.
A 50... Yeah, exactly. So what do we think? What do we think of this whole dynamic, where this is going, where it is right now?
I love the dynamic, and I love them together. I was feeling this video until he rolled in the wheelchair. That killed it for me.
You don't like that?
Like any other, like if it would have like him pushing himself, like I just thought like Professor X and X-Men.
It was
just like,
it seemed more high tech.
What do they call you? Wheels?
Than exactly. Come
I was
on,
like, what? Like why?
Yeah.
Why is he in a? And then like get up, and then I expected him to like kind of try and get up and then maybe fall down, and then like. Then he lights the candle and maybe that makes him move, and then like
I see.
But then he like lit the candle and he's like burning him with the wax, and then he falls down and he just like walks away and the candle's there and the smoke came in and his like head's there looking at the candle. I was like, this could have been really, really good, because they do amazing videos here.
Of course.
But like as soon as he rolled out in the wheelchair, it just lost me.
It did seem very non-Pentagon.
It reminded me of Captain Pike from the original Star Trek series.
You know what? There you go. I like it. I like it a lot.
You lost me.
So, sorry, that's a random pull.
I like it. I would love to see Aerostar in something like that. Maybe if he gets broken by Mil Muertes, I'd love to see him in one of those.
Oh, chucker, eh?
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, no, I agree. It was a very non-Pentagon sort of thing.
And he's like, it's not like he's got like a ripped mask or his face paint. He was in full legit,
Just in
like
full
about
gear,
to go out and wrestle
full gear, had his kick pads on. I mean, like, sometimes you just got to keep your kick pads on.
Yeah.
Maybe that gear has been on since he got injured.
Oh,
wow.
gross.
Oh, rough.
Oh,
That
probably
is-
stinks so
Zero
bad.
Cool 666 in the chat says, I hate to admit I laughed when Pentagon rolled in the wheelchair. I just want Pentagon to become the new spokesperson for Hoveround.
Rascals?
Pentagon hawking wheelchairs on the shopping network.
You know what? If it leads to that, I like it.
He's
I
got
like it.
Rascals. Sponsored by Rascal.
And this offer has zero interest.
There it is.
But yeah, so this is a little bit weird. But That being said, now we're into predictions.
No,
Your
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
There you go.
I'm happy I let
Mark
him
had
do
it queued up, but Jimbo had it even quicker.
Yeah, when you listen to that 40 times a week.
Oh, I bet. I bet. So, what are we predicting? What do we want to predict here?
I predict that Mundo is still going to take Cage to Slamtown.
Sure, of course, naturally. You don't think that this was maybe a big blow off and they'll kind of go their separate ways now?
No, because Mundo has to get his revenge.
Okay.
Like, he's too cool to let that guy beat him up.
Interesting.
And just go
Okay.
away.
Okay.
Like, so Mundo's definitely going to take Cage to Slamtown. I think the new Trios champions will work together for an episode or two, and then like something's gonna happen where like
Really?
like Puma accidentally kicks Rey, or Azteca like gets tossed and catches the wrong guy in the DDT. Something's gonna happen where they start battling against each other, and then they're gonna get split up. Either like someone's gonna lose on purpose, and then like that'll be a feud, something like that.
Interesting. Okay, I see. I'm thinking. I think the Cage Mundo story may be done. I think they may move on to other stories. I think the next medallion match, like I said, may very well be Joey versus Cortez, especially since we did see Cortez kind of cause his team to be eliminated in the 4-way trios match tonight. I'm thinking maybe over the course of this trios titles run, I think we might see Dragon Azteca Jr. get too wrapped up in his quest for vengeance. Maybe take his eye off the ball. Maybe a strategic appearance from Black Lotus causes him to be distracted. As much as I loathe distraction finishes, it could happen that way, I think. I think we're going to be seeing a lot from that Disciple of Death. Mark, do you remember which one it was?
Nope.
Damn it. I know it wasn't Trece. I know it wasn't. I think it was Sinestro de la Muerte.
I think you're true.
I think I am true.
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot from him. At least I'm hoping. After he ripped 2 hearts out, I think we need to see a lot from
What do you
him.
think he's gonna look like?
Oh man.
I think he definitely needs to have like gnarly black wrist gauntlets.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
like black like paint or something
That'd
on his
be pretty
hands
cool.
that look like he like freshly just pulled those hearts out.
Right.
Like he was like, oh, I need to go wrestle, and just like dropped the hearts and just like went out.
Like he dipped his hands in wax and
Yeah.
it is covered.
Sure,
Maybe
exactly.
it's the wax that Vampiro was pouring on Pentagon.
Sure, exactly. Or maybe he was reenacting that scene from Ghost with the pottery wheel. You know,
God, I gotta get on these music cues.
another Swayze reference at that. But yeah, so I think that may be where we're going with that. I don't know, because I think with him you could either go him versus Mill or him versus Matanza, depending on his allegiance to Katrina and how that pans out. If they maybe want to use him or if he turns against them, who knows?
And then do you still think we'll see like Katrina versus Evilise down the line? Because that was something that was addressed earlier in the season,
Sure.
but hasn't really been mentioned too much since then.
I don't know. I as much as I would love to see Katrina in the ring, I don't think we'll see her in the ring in this season or the next. I think she'll
She'll be that slow.
yes,
burn.
yeah. She's a ghost. She's a teleporting ghost, and she doesn't sully her hands with the affairs of mortals.
What if they go for a lockup and they just go right through her? She's a ghost. Really quick in the chat,
Yeah.
Matt Ward says he wants to see Sexy Star versus Marty the Moth.
Sure.
Peg Junk says all hell will break loose and only one number gets called, and that's 423 Get Fame.
Oh, there you go. Our boy Famous B.
Oh, the Sexy Star Marty is going to be a medallion match. How about that?
Oh, interesting. That makes a ton of sense. Absolutely. Yeah, we didn't really get much closure on the Sexy Star Marty the Moth Mariposa story.
Mac situation.
Oh yeah, and the Mac, of course.
Who did this to you?
Who did this to you? Yeah, maybe we'll see Willie Mac versus Mariposa in a
man.
medallion match.
That'd be crazy.
I'd love to see that.
She gonna die.
She won't die. Oh man. But guys, so much. We've got a new medallion holder. We've got new trios champions. So much happening. Cannot wait for next week. But for now, Jimbo, put yourself over and put that little thing over right there.
I'll put this thing over. I made this documentary with all my love, heart, and soul. It's called The Young Bucks 2 Sweet Journey. You can find it at highspots.com. go check it out. If you're a wrestling fan, I don't think you would be disappointed. I haven't had any bad feedback from it.
It's absolutely it's such a good documentary. If you're a fan of wrestling, if you're a fan of indie wrestling, hell, even if you're not a fan of wrestling, you'll enjoy this story.
See? Coming from a guy who's a scholar and a gentleman.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
You follow me on Twitter at the Jimbo Slice. That's TheeJimboslice at the Jimbo Slice. That's at the Jimbo Slice with 2 E's.
There you go.
Yeah.
And as always, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA, as well as various other after shows. I'm on the Monday Night Raw after show, of course, on Mondays. I'm on the American Grit after show, the brand new American Grit after show, immediately following this in like 5 minutes. Literally, I'll be sitting right where Jimbo is, talking about,
Fresh Cup move down.
Talking about John Cena and military obstacle courses. But remember, on iTunes, download, comment, review, rate 5 stars if you're nasty. If you're on YouTube, leave a thumbs up, a comment. We want to hear from you because we love talking about Lucha Underground. We know you do, so let's all talk about it together.
Please leave a review.
Yes. We'll be right back here, same time, same channel, next week. We're talking episode 15. We're already 15 episodes deep. But guys, I hope you'll join us next week to talk Lucha Underground. But until then, viva la lucha!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.